So welcome guys to this video today. We've got Ish from the Dental Portal and Aliyah from Tutoring by Aliyah helping us go through this personal statement. So let's get straight into it. So I'll start off by reading a paragraph or two, and then they'll be giving us their expert opinion on the personal statement. So the intricate and fascinating ability of a dentist has provided me with a wider appreciation of the high level and expertise they possess within the field. Its ability to form a long life relationships, the application of dental science, and most importantly, improving one's confidence and demeanor. A career in dentistry appeals to me as it incorporates intricate manual skills with holistic patient care. It allows me to combine scientific research and complex practical skills to improve the health and the quality of life of others. Okay, so as an intro, Aliyah, what would you say?
So I think just from the introduction, I can already tell that this is a person who has a much more greater insight into dentistry, and the reasons why she wants to do dentistry, why she or he wants to do dentistry, are a lot clearer. However, it's a bit too detached for me. There's a lot of big words, and I'm kind of getting lost in the big words. At the end of reading that, I don't know exactly why you want to do dentistry, even though you've told me why. So I think like there's just too many big words. Like, simplify everything. Tell me exactly why you want to do dentistry in few words and in simple words, because at the end of the day, you're going into a science degree. You're not going into an English degree or history or politics where people will be writing with such flair, and therefore you're expected to have that quality. So as a dentistry personal statement, don't feel pressured into, okay, it needs to sound absolutely amazing and there needs to be all these big words, because honestly sometimes it just detaches from the message. So the fact that it says its ability to form, I read it as lifelong, so its ability to form long life relationships. So are you talking about dentistry, or are you talking about as a dentist? It's too detached for me. Like, bring you into it. This is your personal statement. I'm not going to meet you, so tell me about you and your reasons for studying dentistry, but in a more personal way. And don't hide behind the big words. That's what I would say. Yes, okay, that's it.
Okay, so from what I'm getting, the person hasn't actually personified or talked about them and their experience giving them this appeal for dentistry as a career.
I think like they've tried to tell me why. So lifelong relationships, application of dental science, and improving one's confidence and demeanor, but it's too detached, and it's almost like third perspective instead of personal perspective.
Yeah.
And like I said, this at the end of reading that, you've told me why, but I still don't know why. Like, you need to make it very simple. Don't hide behind the big words.
What would you give it as a score?
I'd give it a 2. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with it too much, but if I was just being very critical and looking for the subtleties, I'd say that it's, like I said, too detached. And after reading that, I'm still a bit confused as to why you want to do dentistry, even though you've told me.
Ish?
It's just not clear enough.
Yeah, so I think with the introduction, I've always said put the personal in personal statement, and I think that's what's lacking here. There's a lot of generic descriptions of what a dentistry does and what a career in dentistry involves, which is good to show because it shows that you've got an understanding of the career and you're not naive about it. But there's not been one single personal reason as to why they want to do dentistry, not one personal reflection as to why a career of dentistry is so specific to them other than any other career. And it's something you then focus on more detail later on, but you want to give the interviewer, just the admissions tutor, just a little insight into why you want to do dentistry, just that little one moment why you want to do dentistry, and then you go into talk about X, Y, Z reasons led up to that initial reason which you pinpointed in the introduction. So put the personal in personal statement, and that's what's lacking here. Initially, so the intricate and fascinating ability. What do you mean by fascinating ability of a dentist? What is a dentist? Are they pulling a rabbit out of a hat here? What's so fascinating about dentistry? it's a very vague way to describe dentistry. And if anything, it's discrediting a dentist's work by just like painting it, brushing it over as fascinating. I think there's better ways to describe a dentist, or maybe I'd focus maybe more on like the motor skills of a dentist here, the dexterous nature of dentistry, etc. I think they're meant to write lifelong here, not long life relationships, but we can let them go for that. I think the last two sentences can be really put into one more concise sentence. So I like the way that they've got an understanding of the holistic patient care. Then instead of saying it allows me to combine scientific, they could just get rid of it allows me to, just saying manual dexterity with holistic patient care, combining scientific research with complexity of practical skills, and then that's it. Not to improve health and quality of life of others, because that's obvious. Like, it's a healthcare profession. We know that's what's going to happen. You don't need to tell an admissions tutor that dentistry helps the quality of life of others. We already know this. So already then you've got rid of 10 words and probably like 50 characters, and that's just saved you a lot where you can put it to later on. But overall, I think it's a good introduction. It shows they have an understanding of the career. Just make it personal and cut all the waffle, I think.
Okay. What score would you give it?
I'd give it a 2, I think, like a low 2. But I think with refining, it can definitely be a higher 2, for sure.
All right. So what I'll do is I will read the next 2 paragraphs. So my biomedical science degree has allowed me to develop invaluable skills. It has equipped me with the fundamental theoretical background required to undertake the rigorous theory of the dental course. It has helped me develop time management and organizational awareness by managing projects within deadlines, finding solutions to complex problems, high levels of communication skills, negotiation, persuasion, written and oral. But primarily, it has grown my resilience and personal confidence. The interpersonal relationship of a dentist and dental nurse gave me an appreciation of the role of a multidisciplinary team and strong communication skills required to deliver both quality oral health care and managing patient anxiety. This was seen through a series of advanced restorative and orthodontic procedures during my work experience, such as implant crowns, Invisalign, and periodontal scaling of a patient with advanced periodontitis. Additionally, I had observed a patient who required a filling procedure, but more intriguingly, with the use of gap bands to aid composite bonding. I learned the importance of working within fine margins, good hand-eye coordination, emotional intelligence, and versatility, which are vital qualities of a dentist. I had the opportunity to form my own filling of model teeth, which was captivating. Understanding how a carious broken molar is minimally restored to prevent further loss of enamel and dentine. This illustrates the importance of manual dexterity, which I've developed through playing the piano and creating 3D models and animations, expanding my artistic and creative flair. Ish.
Yeah, so just nitpicking to start, I would have flipped it. I would have put the work experience ahead of the degree, but in this case I haven't, which is fine. So we'll just go into the degree here. Develop invaluable skills. What do you mean by that? It's far too vague. What's an invaluable skills? What are these invaluable skills that you developed? We then go on to this problem that so many students do, is that they just list things without having any clarity of what they're listing. So we've got communication skills, negotiation, persuasion, written and oral. Like, it's just waffle and waffle without actually showing how have you developed communication skills, how have you developed negotiation, persuasion. Like I said, I'll go back to using my mum as an analogy here. My mum could write a personal statement and say she's developed all these skills, but until I ask her how she's developed these skills, will I then know if she's suitable for Korean dentistry or not. She can develop these skills talking on the phone, but not doing something that's related to dentistry. So it's really important for especially a graduate here to talk about their degree, because that's such a fundamental part of their life going into dentistry. And especially when it's biomedical sciences, it's pretty much first and second year dentistry is so much biomed. But show that relevance to dentistry. It's that point that we made previously where you give a point, give the relevance to dentistry, and then give an example, and keep that consistent throughout the whole personal statement. We've got Yeah, so how have you encountered like resilience, and how has it grown your personal confidence? Anyone can say it because they've said primarily it's grown it. That's their focal part of that paragraph, is that they've gained resilience and personal confidence through their biomed degree. But they've not told me how they've done that, and they've not told me why is resilience and confidence important for dentistry.
Yeah.
It's just empty statement at the moment. But I think the right structure is there, the right things are there. It's just knowing what things to get rid of, and written or oral, just get rid of it, and knowing which ones to pinpoint and then expand on. Going into this paragraph, I think they've made just the age-old error of work experience, just talking about I saw 4 fillings, then I did an extraction, then I did some cross work, then I did etc. etc. Anyone can do that. Like I said previously, anyone can sit in a work experience dental clinic and just watch a dentist do 10 procedures a day, but you've learned nothing from that. And you've also shown the admissions tutor that you've learned nothing from it apart from being able to name call advanced periodontitis. And it's always the case where I think when you apply for dentistry, advanced periodontitis sounds really cool. And it's like, oh my God, I really know my stuff about dentistry, when in reality, it's like, well, it's just gum disease. Like, it's not, like, you've not shown the admissions tutor anything, but I can see, because I can put myself in someone's position applying to dentistry and writing down advanced periodontitis and thinking, do you know what, I'm going to get an offer now, because I know what advanced periodontitis is, when in reality an admissions tutor who advanced periodontitis is not anything special to them at all. They've gained nothing from that. Invisalign, like, it's just name calling here, without providing any substance to the point. So instead, I'd like to see them talk about what they saw from this work experience, how they saw the interpersonal skills a dentist has with the patient and the team, the manual dexterity involved. There's no point going into stuff like saying I use gap bands to aid composite bonding, because like what have I learned more about the applicant here, that they watched the dentist use gap bands to aid composite bonding. I've learned nothing about the applicant here. All I've learned is that dental practice uses gap bands to aid composite bonding. So remember, everything you write in your personal statement is you. You're not here. You're not advertising that dental practice that you did work experience. That you're advertising yourself. So make sure you do that. I think they go into a really good bit here actually, which is I had the opportunity to do my own film, but it just needs rephrasing. I think I prefer it was like I was able to appreciate minimal restorative dentistry as I formed my own filling of a model teeth to prevent further loss of enamel and dentine. That shows that they've understood the dental implications of it, and then they've given their personal example to back it up. And it's cut down the waffle. I've put that into 2.5 lines where they've got it there in 5 lines. And it's just stuff like that, but I think that also comes with just drafting and redrafting. I quite like the last sentence of showing how their experience of manual dexterity without really going into too much detail. They've just put it down there, which is good, because you'll get picked up on that interview if need be, and you can talk about it more. Then you don't need to write a whole paragraph on it. Overall, I'd give it a 2, I think, so far.
Okay, strong 2s. Aliyah?
So I think what you really need to show off with is that you've done a biomedical science degree. So that already shows your commitment towards a career in science and a career in healthcare as well, because that is a pathway to get into medicine, to get into dentistry for a lot of students. So like, you haven't just done a Spanish degree, you haven't done any other degree, you've done a degree already directly into science. So you really need to show off about that. Instead of talking to me about, instead of name dropping fundamental theoretical background, tell me. So you talked about managing projects within deadline. Tell me about a project that you did, name drop one project, maybe about like bacteria that causes caries or something like that. Anything that you've done in your biomedical science degree that links to dentistry. And what I can get from that is how intelligent you are, because I think that's really important going into a career like dentistry or even medicine. You need to show that, yes, you can say that you've got communication skills, written and oral, you can work within deadlines, but a college student could have done that as well. So you need to show that as a graduate student, you're really intellectual. You already have done a 3-year degree, which is hats off to you. Like, that's absolutely amazing. Show off about that. Say that, oh, I did this topic of my biomedical science degree that really interested me. And talk about an article or something you read or one of your projects or something from your coursework that links to dentistry, and bring me something that I've not read anywhere before. So that's what I would say. There's nothing about persuasion, negotiation. At the end of the day, you're not going into business or you're not going into sales. The negotiation and persuasion, I don't really need to know that. At the end of the day, the skills that you need to become a dentist, there are loads. You don't need to mention all of the skills in your personal statement. Instead, just focus on the main ones, for example, like communication, empathy, interpersonal skills. So really focus on those instead of every single skill, proving that you have to become a dentist, because university lecturers and admissions tutors, they're only looking for potential. They do not want a ready-made dentist. So that's what I'll say about that paragraph. In terms of the second paragraph, I would just add on 3 words: during my work experience, 4 words. So that just simplifies it a lot more. And I already know, okay, they're going to talk about work experience now. So it just makes everything a lot more clearer and more logical, so I can understand it better. What I have noticed is they talk about something, but then the link and the reflection doesn't match. So the interpersonal relationship of a dentist and a dental nurse gave me an appreciation of the role of the multidisciplinary team and strong communication skills. This was seen through a series of advanced restorative and orthodontic procedures. That doesn't match up with what you've told me before. You've talked about managing patient anxiety. Okay, so tell me about an anxious patient that came in and how the dentist alleviated that patient's anxiety before they went on to treat the patient. So you're not linking what you're seeing to what you reflected on. So you've said this happened, and then your reflection is of something completely different. So all I would say is make sure your reflection is based on the example that you've given. Additionally, I'd observed a patient who required a filling procedure. I learned the importance of working within fine margins. Did you really? How can you learn it when the dentist was the one that was doing the work? Good hand-eye coordination. Again, all you're doing is observing. So do you really learn something that you don't do yourself, or did you just see it? Emotional intelligence doesn't really go in that paragraph either. I would talk about more of that in a caring setting, or for example, in volunteering. Versatility, again, you're just name dropping things that you think the admission tutor wants to see, but it doesn't really like correlate. Then at the end of it, they, just like Ish has said, they've gone into what I want to see. So the minimally restoring the tooth to prevent further loss of enamel and dentine, that's great. I love that. Illustrates the importance of manual dexterity. That's great as well. Okay, in terms of like the piano and creating 3D models, I would hone in on that a little bit more, because at the end of the day, it's your personal statement. So I would talk about you. I'd say that initially I found playing the piano so difficult, but I can imagine just as how I struggled through the skill of manual dexterity when playing a piano, and then slowly I worked on it and mastered it. I envision working as a dentistry will be similar, and training as a dentist will be similar. So first I'll find things absolutely difficult. I won't be able to do them at all. But later on, I'll slowly develop on my skills. So bring everything in your life back to dentistry. I think that is something that I would definitely do. Just be very thoughtful.
Yeah.
It's something I would say.
What would you give it out of 3?
I would go for a 2. Like, it's not bad.
Okay.
A low 2. Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. Last 2. Actually, I'll do the last few paragraphs together.
Yep.
So, my ability to remain patient and dedicated to the task whilst providing empathetic support was tested during a volunteering program. In assisting disadvantaged pupils with their learning, I was responsible in organizing future lessons in an engaging and enjoyable setting. This had improved my innovation and ability to work in a flexible manner, but more importantly, to translate complex ideas into simple insights, which is crucial for clear dental patient communication. I have been an avid charity fundraiser, which has developed my leadership skills by coordinating various roles to my peers, listening to concerns, and executing administrative tasks in order to meet deadlines. Working as a part-time cinema assistant has improved my ability to multitask well under pressure and improved my interpersonal skills in handling customer queries and complaints. I've realized the importance of keeping a well-balanced and healthy lifestyle aside from my academics. To help me de-stress, I regularly play football, which has strengthened my stamina and adaptability to make decisive decisions during different pressured scenarios. Upon reading books such as The Smile Stealers, I've been able to appreciate the evolvement of dentistry over many years. Particularly the social and cultural practices was most intriguing, from ancient Japanese methods of tooth extraction by using a lancet to classical Rome where herbal therapies such as mandrake root and opium were used to treat toothaches. Combining my past and present experiences helped me grow into an optimistic, detail-oriented, and committed individual, which has equipped me to face the challenges of the dentistry course and has grown my enthusiasm to pursue a career in dentistry. Aliyah, I'll allow you to just summarize your thoughts on the remaining portion of the personal statement.
That's fine. Are you able to just go slightly up a bit?
Yeah. Yeah. There.
So I definitely think that they're really, really improving. So they started off a bit shaky, but other than that, I can see that this person does have the necessary skills to become a dentist, or at least have the potential to become a dentist. I like how she's talked about ability to remain patient and dedicated to the task. So here is where I would bring in the emotional intelligence. So while providing empathetic support. So emotional intelligence is something I would name drop in an empathy setting. So that is what I would do for that. Again, I think something that she's done is, you've got all of these skills, link them back to dentistry. You've done that slightly over here, but more importantly, to translate complex ideas into simple insights, which is crucial for a clear dental patient communication. I love that. That's absolutely amazing. Do more of that, like link it back to dentistry. You've been an avid charity fundraiser. That's great. Okay, so out of that paragraph, you've told me loads of great things, but only once have you literally linked it back to dentistry. I love the bit about the well-balanced lifestyle, because dentistry is a very stressful career. You're going to need to be able to balance dentistry and have ways to de-stress. I love the bit about the book. That's great as well. And I think just the last paragraph, I think that's a not bad conclusion as well. You could have talked a bit more about Smile Stealers. But other than that, I'd give it a 2 as well. Maybe maybe 2.2, 2.3. Yeah.
And overall, as a personal statement, what would you say your thoughts are?
Overall, it's not bad at all. I think it's a good personal statement. I wouldn't say it was average. I wouldn't say it's absolutely amazing, but it's a good personal statement, definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Make sure, guys, to check out Aliyah and Ish. Ish with the Dental Portal, Aliyah with Tutoring by Aliyah. I'll put their profiles in the descriptions because they do this with students all the time. So they're able to really give some good insight into what makes a good personal statement. And we could spend more time doing this, but I just want you guys to get an idea of what people that have been through the process would say about personal statements, and people that have been on panels think when they see personal statements like this. So Ish will give us his conclusion about what he thinks of this final part.
Yeah, so I think the person here, they've ended their statement really well, actually. And you can tell that they're probably a grad applicant in the sense that they've written a personal statement before. They kind of know how to finish it off. The third from last paragraph, where they start with my ability to remain patient dedicated, is a really good paragraph. They've followed the thing that we've been talking about all along, is give your point, give your relevance to dentistry, and give your personal example. And where they've done that really well is they talk about future lessons, engaging, enjoyable settings, blah, blah, blah. And then they do complex ideas into simple insights, which is crucial for clear dental patient communication. It's that bit there that everything they've talked about in the above 3 sentences have now been encompassed into everything. Now the admission teacher knows that this is for dentistry, because before you read that, it could be for anything. that last bit there, but more clear, for clear dental patient communication is really key, and it ties everything together, and it's what people need to do throughout their personal statement more so. Don't put it in after every sentence, because then you get a bit repetitive and you get a bit like, oh my God, they're pushing an agenda too much.
Yeah.
But subtly do it like they've done here, really subtle. And you put it in maybe once or twice in a paragraph after you've explained how amazing you are for 3-4 sentences. It kind of is, the case is, with a personal statement, you modestly explain how amazing you are, and then you feed somebody why it's for dentistry, and that's it. And then you repeat the cycle again. You explain, I did this, that, other, got all these amazing experiences, I'm so amazing, in a modest way. And then you say, and this is for dentistry, like this,
Yes.
etc. And you want that cycle to be going through your head throughout your personal statement. I think they've done really well with this paragraph. Charity fundraiser, maybe they can put in some empathy and some emotional intelligence into this. They can drop, because that's a real key thing that people are looking for with dentists and any healthcare profession. You have to be able to empathize with patients, and through organizing charity fundraisers, that you relate that back to empathy a bit.
Yeah.
So maybe try to sneak that in somewhere there. I like the part-time cinema assistant, because it shows that you can work under pressure. You've got some experience and a life outside of just studying and education. And it's also, what I like about it is, you don't have to be glamorous in your personal statement when you're talking about your experiences. Nobody has to have had the most amazing experiences, because that's just dependent on your opportunities and your background that you're from. There's nothing glamorous about being a cinema assistant, but it's really good that you put it in there, because it shows that this is truly you. You're not trying to be some false person saying, oh, I did 7 months voluntary work in Cambodia, I did X, Y, Z, because not everyone has that opportunity. These are very simple opportunities that everyone can have, and you're showing how you've made a very simple opportunity into something that's now developed you to be a better dentist. And I think that's quite good, because admission tutors look at, they can't assess the reason why it's not good to like name drop where you've done like dental work experience, etc., is because they can't value a work experience on Harley Street over a work experience in a local practice, because someone else, the person who's had that Harley work experience will live near London, will have them connections to Harley Street, whereas somebody in the north of the country won't have that, and you can't discriminate based on where you live or money, etc. So if you can give a very mundane, basic work like experience that everyone has opportunity for, but make that really good and make that relevant to dentistry, that shows a lot more than someone just saying, I did 2 weeks at Harley Street. I'm using Harley Street as an example, but it works for everything. Moving on, so I've realized the importance of keeping a well-balanced, healthy life. Yeah, really good. Once again, you're showing that you've got a life outside of studying outside dentistry. This bit here, I think I regularly play football, which strengthens my stamina. Like I said throughout, does this statement or does this sentence show why you're going to be a better dental student or a dentist? That one, not really. Strengthening your stamina, like what's the relevance here? Get rid of it. The second bit of that, adaptability to make decisive decisions, that's more relevant now. Now we're talking about like an actual career. Stamina, you're not applying to be a professional footballer here. You're applying to be a dentist. You've got other skills that you can learn from football: communication, teamwork. These are like really important. Leadership. Throw them in there, because they're the skills that relate to dentistry. Don't give a skill that doesn't relate to dentistry, because it's just a wasted skill to put in a personal statement when you've got little space to write. Reading books are just smarter. So when I was reading this initially, I got the impression that they maybe put that in to make them sound like they really care about dentistry a lot. And I don't know, they might be very genuine about reading this book, and they were intrigued about herbal therapies and stuff. But from like a human perspective, I'm like, is somebody who's 18 or just applying as a grad really that interested in all these herbal remedies and treating toothaches? Maybe not. And that's the sort of like, you definitely can be like, by all means, maybe they are being very genuine here and they do have this interest, which works perfectly then. But I'd be a bit skeptical. It's maybe something, if I was an interviewer or an admissions teacher, I'd then definitely bring up on an interview. And if you have been caught lying about it, it'll be so obvious at interview, because you won't be passionate about it. You definitely won't be as passionate about mandrake root and opium as you are in your personal statement. So just be careful. You have to give the person the benefit of the doubt here. Maybe they're very passionate about it, and therefore it's really good that they put it in. But if you are going to name drop a book and explain about all these like historical processes, at least have that passion for it, because if it does get brought up at interview and you do get called out for it, it's not going to look good if you don't have the same passion. Because an interview is basically you saying everything you are, personal statement, you making sure you're the human form of that interview.
Yeah.
And when things don't align, that's when you get caught out, especially at panel interviews where they have their personal statement in front of you. And the conclusion, yeah, really good conclusion. This is more of the sort of conclusion that I like to see. It's one sentence, a summary of everything that we've seen before. It's not, you're not trying to tell me in your conclusion why you're all these experiences that you've done, because you've explained everything before. All you're doing now in the conclusion, tying in everything, and then just bringing everything together. And that's what a conclusion has to be, is bringing everything together. You don't want to give someone new bits of information in a conclusion, because that means you've missed something above out. Conclusion should just tie in together the work experience, the extracurriculars, and really just generalize you as an academic applicant. The only issue I would maybe have with first statement, I think it can be the conclusion can be condensed. It's taken up 3 lines here, and I think you can maybe push that down into 2 lines. That extra line will then go into talking about your work experience or something a bit more important than a conclusion. But other than that, it's a good conclusion, I think.
In terms of the whole personal statement,
I think it's
how do you view it?
I think it's a really good effort, especially if it's a first draft. It's a really good effort. One second. My phone's just gone off. I think it's sorry, is that okay? Shall I just restart that?
No. So just start by summarizing the whole personal statement. I can cut out that bit.
The personal statement is a really good, I think it's a really good attempt at a personal statement, especially if it's a first draft. What I would say is there's bits here where they've included it in the extracurriculars, where they've given the point, relevance, dentistry, and then your personal example. Try to keep that continuous throughout. Have that in the back of your mind throughout, because I think the work experience paragraph is the one that raises the most red flags to me, because it's a lot of just name calling, dropping things that you've done without providing any substance. And I think everyone, especially in their first draft, and me included here, was the same. In your first draft, especially if your work experience, you are just name dropping because you've never heard of these things before. You're like, oh my God, periodontitis sounds amazing. Invisalign, I've seen that before. I've seen signs of Invisalign. If I put this in, but in reality, in the grand scheme of things, these are very mundane, basic terminology in dentistry. It's nothing fascinating for someone who's been studying dentistry for 40 years and has been practicing it for 40 years. So yeah, think about that. When you're talking about work experience, don't fall into the trap of explaining what you saw, but go into the direction of what did you take away from it, because that's a lot more important. Everyone, and I can't stress this enough, everyone will see the same, if not very similar things on work experience, because there's only so much difference you can get in work experience in a dental practice, unfortunately. But it's what you take away will be different to what somebody else has taken away. And that's the key thing that people are looking for. Because if I was an admissions student and I read 100 personal statements, all telling me about perio, Invisalign, and composite bonding, like I've gained nothing about the applicant here. But what I will gain is if an applicant says, I observed the dentist-nurse relationship, I observed the holistic nature of working as a team in a dental practice, because that's what you really want to take away from work experience. You're going to learn how to do composite bonding and perio and Invisalign throughout your career. You don't need to know that at the age of 18 and 17. What you need to know at the age of 17 and 18 is the demands of the career, not the career itself, if that makes sense. You want to know what you're going into in terms of, are you fit enough characteristics wise for this career? You don't have to, you're not going to be an oven cooked dentist going into it. You're going to come out of it an oven cooked dentist, but you can't go into an oven cooked dentist. And that's the key thing. They're not looking for the finished article before you get into dental school, but they're looking for someone with the potential to be the finished article. And that's really important to try to have in the back of your head throughout writing your personal statement.
That's a nice summary there. So if this personal statement was, in front of you and you had to decide whether to give it an interview, this person an interview or not, what would you go for?
So I think if they can I think based on this personal statement alone,
Yeah.
maybe it's definitely more. I feel like if I was a nice admission tutor and the rest of the application was good and we got a good UK CAT score, then for sure. If they were borderline, maybe not. But if the rest of the application matched up, then I probably would actually go for give an interview. The big, like as I mentioned before, the big problem I had with this personal statement was this whole work experience bit, where I just feel like just be personal in your personal statement. But they ended the personal statement very strongly. I think it's really what someone's looking for at the end of the personal statement. So yeah.
Awesome. No, thank you for that. And guys, thank you for tuning in to another video. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share. And we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you, Ish.
No problem.